Welcome, everybody. Let's see, Instagram. Okay, welcome, everybody. I am unjeinikab and happy to be with you tonight. So we're going to talk about transformation tonight. Your moment of transformation is what the title of the talk is tonight. If you are new to my page, welcome. I am the author of this book. You might have seen it around or on my site. It is called Unmothered, A Daughter's Guide to Acceptance, Healing, and Renewal. And so I wrote the book for women like me who had difficult relationships with their mothers and they lost their mother and need to heal from the emotional trauma that came with the relationship, along with finding their voice and reclaiming their power. So that's where I come in. I am a life coach, and that's what I help you do, is to basically take back your life from the trauma that occurred between you and your mother. So tonight I want to talk about transformation because I think we spend a lot of the time talking about the problems that occur when you're not getting along with your mother, when y'all are fighting, when you're arguing and bickering, and when she's sabotaging you, competing with you, just really not in tune, gaslighting, all of the things. And so instead of, only dealing with that, I want to talk about the flip side and what the benefits of healing look like. And so it's literally a transformation. And so that's what I want to get into tonight. So what does it mean? Your moment of transformation, saving yourself, your relationships, and your future. Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. But I'm going to use an example from physics. I go to science all the time because my background is engineering, and I still love science very much. And so in physics, a moment is the turning effect of a force. So it can cause an object to rotate clockwise or counterclockwise. So that's what a moment is. And it's sort of the same way in life. Things that happen to us can cause us to turn one way or the other. Now, in the transformation that we're talking about, we want to make sure that's a good transformation and it's a positive turn. We don't want it to be like a negative turn, like when Anakin became Darth Vader. We don't want that kind of turn. But there are all kinds of transformations out there. And so it's important to notice when you are on the cusp of your moment. It takes being aware and taking action. So being intentional is what it takes in order to make that transformation very positive. Because sometimes, people are in a place where something has happened to them. It can be something traumatic. It can be something that's been going on for some time. And it causes them to get bitter. And from what I know about my mother, about her life, and from the things that I saw happen, I would say that that's something that occurred with her. The many things that she went through in life embittered her and just made her heart hard and made her behave a certain way. It is not an excuse for how she treated me. It is not, saying that it's okay. However, I'm recognizing that the things that happen to us, the things that we go through, they do make a difference. It makes a difference in who you end up being. And so how you handle trauma and events in your life and relationships in your life, and it influences, it makes a difference in who you become. And so transformation is not always as simple as a decision. It comes about sometimes by chance. And so I'm going to tell you how it happened for me. And so just to kind of put it in perspective, because you have to make some sense of the things that happen in your life. Because if you don't, then you can end up transforming in the other way, where you shut down relationships, where you shut down hope, where you remain stuck in the past and looking at the past and wondering why. And so I'm going to tell you how it happened for me. I wasn't thinking I would say stuck. So as I moved through the grieving process after I lost my mother, I really thought that I was going to be okay after some time, of being without her. I thought I was a person that believed time was what it took to heal. This is what I used to think. I thought time was what it took to heal. And so in processing the grief of losing my mother, and I understood, that we didn't have the relationship that I wanted, and I needed some things, but I didn't understand her role in it. I just understood that I was without, and now she wasn't here. And so I was in the grieving process, and I thought, okay, it's going to become more bearable with time. And so about year 6 after she had passed away, I really, had begun to think, I got this under control. I know how to act. I know how to feel. I'm doing well. And then grief hit me like out of nowhere and took me all the way down to the point where I was having a very bad weekend. I was crying, all kinds of things. What's up, little brother? I was just not doing well. And so I couldn't understand how I had gotten to that place, because I told myself with time I was going to be healed, because I had heard that time heals all wounds, and I told myself I was doing well. And so how was it that I was knocked down again as if I had just lost her like that day? And so this continued to happen on and off. So it wasn't just the 6 years, it continued to happen. Like I would go a few years and I would be okay, and I would, check in with my sister a lot of times, see how she was doing. When I could check in with my little brother, I would check in, see how they were doing. And so I began to realize it was taking a long time, and something was wrong with that. Hey, Tasha. Something was wrong with that. And so I began to understand that time was not going to heal what was wrong with me. Time was, being wasted. It was like I was stuck in a time warp. And so how was I going to get out of this thing? I continued with life. I call myself climbing the corporate ladder and doing things. I had my family and all that stuff, growing my family, thinking that I was okay and that I was happy. But deep down inside, I wasn't, because there was still a question about why was I not healing. And so I'm looking out here to make sure I don't forget anything. And so one of the clues I had as to that I was not healed was that I was trying to write this book right here. I was trying to write this book. And the way I was writing the book was for people that were going through grief. They had lost someone to cancer, and I wanted to talk about how painful it is and when it, catches you by surprise, all that stuff. But I could not get the book written. Now, it was taking years were going by, and I still couldn't get it out. And so that was the mystery for me. I was trying to put together, why are you unable to write the book? So I hired a book coach. And this is in 2020, when everything shut down. I said, I'm not taking this L. I hired a book coach to help me get the book written. And she is excellent. Her name is Jasmine Womack. So I was going through her program, and the way she was breaking it down was making me ask myself a lot of questions. And so I was sitting at my desk, and I was writing, and all of a sudden it's like God turned the lights on me. And in trying to answer what the problem was and why I was stuck, he just turned the light on, is all I can say. And that was my moment of transformation. I could feel it even before I verbalized what it was he was putting in my mind. I could feel it, and it was like, I remember saying, oh my God, just sitting there in the chair at my desk, and I said, oh my God. And he said, you didn't have a chance to grieve the fact that your mother wasn't who you wanted her to be. She was not the mother you wanted her to be. And you have been sitting here pretending that everything was okay. You were trying to write this book about the love and when your heart is broken because you don't have somebody, but your heart was broken before she left. Your heart was already broken before she left this earth. And you have been sitting here trying to pretend like that's not the case. And when God turned that light on for me and I realized it, I said, that's what the book is about. The book is not about grieving loss when you have a loved one going, through a difficult disease or a sickness. And it's not to knock that at all. That is something that I had to deal with. And in another time, I might even write a whole different book on just that part. But what this book is about that wound when your mother hasn't been there for you, when you haven't had what you needed. And when the lights were turned on for me, that was my moment of transformation, and I decided to seize it. So instead of making it something bad and it be like, okay, so she didn't do what I wanted and she was fully capable. She had help because she had, my grandma, she had all her aunts around her. She had help. She could have done it. Not talking about where my father was, because he was not there. He was absent. But she could have done more. Instead of me going the other way and becoming very bitter. Remember, I said that a moment can be positive or it can be negative. Instead of the transformation being a bitter one and me becoming a lot like what my mother was, I decided in that moment that wasn't for me. And that is what I want for you. I want you to recognize that you do get a choice. Yes, things happen to us and they can be terrible things. And for some people, sometimes it's not that terrible. And you just want to elevate. You just want to go higher and be better. That's all great. But whatever you go through and whatever happens to you, you can take the pain and you can use the lessons from it. You can take the pain and try to make sense of it. Sometimes it's hard, like in my case, and it took me a full 20 years basically to figure out what was going on, what the problems were, because it was buried that deep. And like I said, time could not heal that wound. And so sometimes you're going to have to stop and analyze that thing and try to figure out, what is the lesson from this pain? What does this mean? How do I want to take this and move forward? And so in my moment of transformation, when I realized it was the pain of not having a relationship and not the pain of not her physically being there that was heavier. I was feeling both, but it was definitely an emphasis on I didn't have her before she left the earth. And realizing that and the light turning on, that was my moment. And in the moment, I decided I'm going for all mine. Because I have been held up a long time. I love my mother dearly, but I can't run back the clock and I can't go back in the past. And so luckily for me, I was there when she passed away. And so I was by her side. And so I was able to get some type of closure and get through some things, some emotions that I was feeling. And so that is why I talk about grief and forgiveness in the book, because they are powerful. And I was able to do that. But I was still stuck. And so in my moment, in thinking about all the lessons and seeing how bad things that happened to my mother caused her to be bitter, I decided to go the other direction. And so that is why I say your moment of transformation is about saving your life, your relationships, and your future. And it is about that because you have to find yourself. When you go through traumatic experiences, when people do things that are wrong to you, or when they hurt you and they don't apologize, and when you feel like you can't get past it, you have to learn how to release things. Even if you don't do true forgiveness, you have to learn how to release yourself from an event so that you can open yourself up to what's coming. And in doing that, you get in touch with you. Because a lot of times you get lost when you're dealing with pain. You may suppress it. You may try to hide it. You may do a lot of things that causes your real essence of who you are to get lost. So you have to get back in touch with yourself. That is how you save yourself. You start to identify, what do you really want out of life? What really makes you happy? What don't you like? What can't you stand? You find out how you are in relationships. And it takes, some trial and error sometimes. You gotta take some risks. You can't stay by yourself all the time. So you have to put your heart out there sometimes. And so in doing that and recognizing that you are intentionally figuring yourself out, that is how you save yourself. Because what you don't want is for all the pain and all the hardship and all the drama and the things that have happened to make you be embittered and say, okay, it's never going to change. It ain't going to never get better. So I just might as well be terrible. You don't want to do that. But people do that all the time. And sometimes they don't really realize they're doing it. It happens subconsciously, but people do it. And so you don't want that to happen. So you have to be intentional about the thing and about the work. So when your moment of transformation comes and the light turns on, seize that moment. Now, being in a moment and understanding yourself and making those conscious decisions of, hey, I want more than this and I deserve better, will lead you to better relationships. Because if you have children, you will know how to better interact with them. Not just because of what your mother didn't do with you. Not just because of how she misunderstood you or when she wasn't in tune with you. It's not just because of that. It's because of what's inside of you. You are your own person. And so you don't have to constantly compare yourself to her. You're your own person and you're separate from your mother and from your father. And so what God put in you is for you. And so you decide how you want to talk to those children. You decide what kind of role model you want to be to the kids around you if you don't have any, of your own. Because kids are always watching all of us. And so you decide how you're going, what kind of partner are you going to be? What kind of husband, wife, what kind of partner are you going to be? Do you not want to be married? You have to think about these things and you get to have those, make those decisions. This is your life. And so completely separate yourself from what you thought it was, what you thought was happening, and make this whole thing brand new. Because you are still here living yet today. So you have opportunity, you have chance to do what it is you want to do. And that is what the transformation is all about. And it doesn't mean things are going to be perfect, but you're going to work on yourself first. And that is going to allow you to work on how you're going to show up as a parent or a role model to this legacy, to this generation that's coming after us. How you're going to show up in your marriage, in your relationships, your romantic relationships, and how you're going to be as a friend. Because friendships, we don't talk about them all the time, but they are very intimate relationships if it's a true friendship. And certainly when you're on the way to getting to know somebody and deciding if you're going to be that kind of friend. So you need to know what they can count on you for and what you need from them. It's reciprocal. Goes back and forth when it comes to being a friend. You can't just take and be codependent and all of that. It has to go. You have to give them something too. So you need to know what kind of people are you attracted to when it comes to being friends. Because everybody's not your friend. And I know y'all are old enough to know that everybody's not your friend and they're not meant to be your friend. Everybody is not for you. And so sometimes it takes some hard lessons for us to learn that. But in getting to know ourselves first, you can tell when people get turned off by you, it's okay. It's okay. That might not be your tribe. They might not be your vibe, not your people. And so it really helps knowing yourself, renewing in your mind that, hey, I need to understand who I am. And then moving into other relationships, that is how the changes get made. And then lastly, your future. Transformation affects your future because you're looking at your health, your relationships, and your wealth. I'm going to put it like that. Because how you show up in the world greatly affects your wealth and the things that you can do and the things that you're going to have. If you show up like you are not about your business, if you show up like you don't care how the people treat you and how they pay you and how they talk to you, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get whatever they're willing to give you. But if you command respect, if you come to the table knowing your worth, then they can't treat you any kind of way. And, they can't talk to you any kind of way because that stuff not only affects your wealth, it affects your mind and your health. And so you can get taken out of this thing before you are even in it. So you have to know what you will and won't accept. Get your boundaries in place. All right? There's nothing wrong with apologizing when people are wrong. But you got to understand where folks are coming from with you. So pay very close attention in the workspace. Pay attention in your interactions out in the world. Because how you show up and how you interact affects your wealth. Knowing your worth affects what you're going to get paid and how people are going to treat you. And so in no way am I telling you to be fake and act, the part to get what you want. I'm telling you to be you and get what you want. Because being you is the superpower. You are completely comfortable when you are yourself. And so when you come to the workplace, when you come to the table as yourself, then that's where your power is. I'm not talking about coming to the table acting crazy and raising sand and, doing all this and cussing people out. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about coming like somebody who is about their business and being real. That is what gets you the bag. That is what moves you forward. And being genuine in whatever the gifts are that you're going to share with the workplace, with the people that you're working with, whatever those gifts are, and whatever things you're going to learn and keep building. All right? So that is basically what your moment of transformation is about. It's about recognizing the pain, the trauma, anything that you've gone through, and what lessons might come out of that you can use to make yourself better, to push yourself forward, to go higher. That is what the moment of transformation is about. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. When it's staring you in the face, make your decision to go higher and to do better. Don't miss your moment. And sometimes it takes a catalyst. It takes some help. Like me, I told y'all I was writing the book. The book itself, writing for me is it helps me get out a lot. It helps me process through thoughts. I've always been a writer. I've always journaled since I was very little. And so that's my way. So writing the book was going to be cathartic, no matter how it went. But when I got stuck and I needed help, I went and got the help. I didn't give up. And so sometimes you just need help. That can be, whether you need to go into therapy, whether you need to get into a support group where people that are going through something just like you. And a lot of this stuff you can find for free, like there are free Facebook groups and, certain, even groups in the community where you can meet for free. And then there are things that you're going to have to pay for, you're going to have to invest in. And so, there's, like I said, there's therapy, there's communities. There's just having a friend that understands you, that can listen and not be very judgmental when you don't need that. So that type of help can move you forward. Of course, there's life coaching, and there's so many different life coaches for all kinds of things that you might be going through. So just know that those resources are there, because once you get the help, that's when you can start seeing the possibilities of what the transformation is going to bring. And when you can see the possibilities, then you can decide, okay, that's something that I want. I do want that for myself. I do deserve to live like that. I do deserve a better life. I don't deserve misery and grief and to be sad all the time. Even though something really, really, really traumatic happened to me, that doesn't mean that's my portion for the rest of my life. And so when you have that help, and the possibilities are made real, you put the action in there, and you will secure your health, your wealth, and your relationships. All right? So I know I made it sound like it's real easy. The problem is sometimes you don't know when your moment is going to show up or when it's going to reveal itself to you. But begin to get in tune with yourself. Take time, if you can in the morning, find quiet time in your day so you can get in tune with yourself. So you can quiet your thoughts. I do recommend journaling a lot, or even making some lists. But start to get your thoughts out and get your goals down. Ask God what the vision is. What does He want for your life? And then you write the vision so that it is plain, and go after the things that you want. You don't have to have the life that your mother had or your father had. You don't have to be the same way that they were. You can have something completely different that you never imagined if you seize your moment of transformation. All right? Okay. As always, you guys are the joy of my heart. I am here willingly, happily. This is what I love to do. So I'm glad I got to come on tonight and chat with you. One-to-one coaching is still open. If you need a coach, then you can go to the link in my bio and schedule time with me, and I'll get on a video call with you, listen to you, and see if we are a fit and if I think I can help you. I also have a digital course, and I'm going to open a digital course back up I think one more time before the end of the year. So I'm going to open up my digital course, which is 4 weeks, and we go through mindset, acceptance, grief, forgiveness is a big one, and then renewal, which is basically yourself, your relationships, and your career and goals. And so we go through all of that in a 4-week boot camp. And so that is also available if you go to the link in my bio. All right. So if you have questions, you can DM me. Love to chat with you. Wonderful seeing everybody tonight. And if you're catching the replay, thank you again, too, for joining. So I will talk to you guys next week. Bye, y'all.